Welcome back to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Thank you for staying with us. According to the General Secretary of the Civil Service Association, CSA, Claude Paul, there are many unanswered questions on the options provided to members who will be affected by the move from Victoria Hospital to the Owen King EU Hospital. Shaka Wooding tells us more in this report.
The Civil Service Association has confirmed the intention of the government to offer secondment at the Owen King European Union Hospital OKEU to permanent staff from the Victoria Hospital, the Mental Wellness Centre and the Turning Point Rehabilitation Unit. CSA General Secretary Claude Paul says this news came in the form of a letter attachment issued by the Office of the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health.
We can confirm that we've received a letter from the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health with an attached letter which he intends to send to the workers at Victoria, the Wellness Centre and the Turning Point Rehabilitation Unit. We represent members at those three institutions, so that the letter has attached to it a form which indicates or which provides options for the members or for the staff to indicate whether they wish to be seconded to the new institution, the OKEU, or whether they wish to remain in the public service.
Paul says members have sought greater clarity on the options provided to them in the letter and the fairness of this intended move by government.
The members expressed concern about having to make a choice without sufficient information about the terms and conditions that they will be going into. As you pointed out, where you have persons who are with open-ended employment arrangements, what you call permanent, and they are being seconded in the first instance for a 2-year period, some persons are concerned that whether their jobs within the public service will be preserved. Now, if Victoria Hospital will be no more, it means those jobs will be abolished.
He says discussions are ongoing and the CSA will pursue the matter with the best interest of its members. For Hot 7 News, I am Jacques Wooding.
Labrie MP Alva Baptiste continues to ask the current administration to place the healthcare needs of the country at the forefront of its agenda, particularly now that a global pandemic is knocking at the island's door. According to him, obvious negligence of the health sector will compound the COVID-19 response. Genevieve Gonzague tells us more.
The people of this country must ensure that no other leader is so reckless with the country's scarce resources. That was one of the sentiments espoused by former Minister of Aviation and the current parliamentary representative for Labrie, Alva Baptiste. Outside the House of Parliament on Tuesday 10th, Baptiste gave many accounts of the current administration's said recklessness and accused them of trivializing not only the new coronavirus situation, but the entire healthcare system.
Here is my fundamental concern. For the past approximately 4 years, the opposition has been asking the government to address itself to the pressing but legitimate needs of the people of this country as far as healthcare is concerned.
Baptiste is admonishing the government, arguing that negligence of the healthcare system is compounding the new coronavirus issue.
The recklessness of this government, right, is now in sharp focus. And the people of this country must make up their minds as to where we are headed.
The minister is calling for all sectors of society to put all hands on deck to deal with all issues being faced by the health sector. He says those in Parliament need to work towards a common goal, and the government especially needs to be open to ideas being brought forward by the opposition. He believes that this will not only aid with the preparations for a new coronavirus, but also other pressing health issues that are affecting the country. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
World travel and tourism are taking major hits due to COVID-19 and its continued spread. Here in St. Lucia, vendors who already felt like they were on the bottom of the food chain for reaping benefits from tourism say the tourist dollar is becoming increasingly scarce right before their eyes. But they recognize that the situation is a real catch-22. It is a very vulnerable and tricky situation for vendors who depend on the tourism dollar amid the global COVID-19 epidemic. So says the president of the Vendors Association, Peter Ras Iper Isaac. He says the real dollar impact of less travel and the turning away of cruise ships is being felt by vendors, but they appreciate the precautions being undertaken and implemented. Ras Iper says health is the #1 priority, and for now, everyone has to ride out the tough times.
It's going to be terrible for us because, as you probably know, that the American government has already issued a warning to its citizens to avoid going on cruises. So that is going to put us in a very bad situation economically. But some vendors are saying they would prefer not to have the virus, and even if we have to miss the ships and all that day, but the virus is what we have to keep away from. We want to try to keep it away from our shores, although in my opinion, I think it might almost be impossible that you don't have it here.
Isaac says he is concerned on all fronts. He urges strict good hygiene practices to avoid the spread of communicable diseases and says vendors should brace for the worst in the short term.
The reality about it is that all that we can do to keep the coronavirus off our shores, I think we should do it. But it's going to hurt us really hard because in the next few months, I don't think we'll have many cruise ships coming here. So we are extremely concerned. We don't know what our fate would be. We are here now, when we have problems with tourism in the situation that we are in now, the vulnerable situation, you have people, Mr. Bradley talking about diversifying our economy. That's something we're not supposed to be reacting, we're supposed to be proactive. That's something we're supposed to be doing a long time ago.
Isaac also denounced the spread of fake news regarding the presence of the virus in St. Lucia. He says this is not the time for so-called fun and games that have serious repercussions for the country. The president also took the opportunity to commend vendors for paying close attention to advice from the Department of Health and for becoming more health conscious. He says just as the World Health Organization indicated that it is simply a matter of when for the spread of new coronavirus to St. Lucia, and he urges everyone to be ready to do their part to contain community transmission of the virus.
Residents in New Village are calling on authorities to address the problem of a huge tree causing an obstruction to the flow of a river. They say the situation is a disaster waiting to happen, given the propensity for flooding in the city of Castries.
Frustrated New Village residents say they have been eyeing a potential hazard for months now and are appealing to authorities to address the issue as a matter of priority. The river is not only polluted with plastic and other waste, but a tree stump has created an obstruction. Joseph Alfred is a resident of New Village. He says clearly this is a disaster waiting to happen.
As you can see, the river has blocked by a tree trunk, and this is the main river leading to Castries. If all the water from Mondidon coming down and goes to Castries, and it's blocked by a tree trunk. Is any major rain, it will block everything that's coming down in its way, and nothing is not passing. So we need the authorities to come and address that problem, because is the water back up, it will go to the neighbor's yard and cause a major problem.
Resident Michael Phillips echoed similar sentiments and also urged community members to mobilize.
That tree are there in the river. That is a long time mango tree are there. That's a major tree stump that was on some people's land. I was on the bank of the river, right? I fell down in the river. Maybe around since last year, early last year. November last year, right? And that personally is a hazard. If any major rain, that will flood up New Village.
The city of Castries has had more than its fair share of flash flooding. Authorities have urged better waste management practices to keep rivers and drains free from debris, but it seems, given the volume of waste at this particular site, that getting the cleanliness message across to everyone is still a work in progress.
This is the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. There's more coming up after the break.